Alright, hello everyone, and today we are going to talk about how you can use the times of the day, week, month, and year to get some more efficient energy charges into your kitchen magic depending on when you are cooking stuff. So, let's get into it. By the way, if you want to see these videos 2 weeks earlier, consider subscribing to my Patreon, where you not only get all these videos, but also recipe cards, specific deity profiles, and lots of other interesting things to look at. Video tiers start at $10 a month, so definitely consider checking it out. So first things first, have you ever heard of when people say that like men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle and women have a 28-day hormonal cycle? And then you've seen people tie this to the sun and the moon, right? 28 days for full moon to new moon, 24 hours for the sun to come up and down. Turns out a similar thing kind of works in magic. If you have been waiting 2 weeks for the moon to start waxing again for you to start doing any of your prosperity work, don't worry, because during the daytime, you can think about the sun cycle doing exactly the same kind of energetic current, right? So for instance, if you want to grow intentions, if you want to do, something that gains prosperity, that increases abundance, you would do this during the dawn up to noontime, when that sun is rising. Same way as you would if you were to do that kind of spell when the moon is waxing and getting fuller. Here is actually a small list of exactly what you can do with, say, dawn magic, high noon magic, evening dusk magic, midnight magic, all these kinds of things. Notice how they follow that similar rhythm as the moon does, just in a much shorter scale. This means that actually in one day, depending on when you are cooking something, you can absolutely imbue some of that into your meal. And obviously, since no one's making spaghetti at like 8 in the morning, the more prosperity-centered ideas for dawn or that morning time would probably be things like those peanut butter energy bites that I had on my blog recently, or anything like that. It's going to be more about those breakfast foods, those sweet things, those things that have a lot of maybe cinnamon or honey or other such kind of abundance-attracting stuff. Those breakfast foods for the morning can capitalize on that sunrise magic. Likewise, if you're trying to banish things in the evening, you know that a bowl of chicken paprikash, which is like 99 billion% onion, is going to be fantastic for banishing, cleansing, and exorcising all that kind of bad stuff away. So never think you have to wait an entire 2 weeks to get to a certain moon phase to do the magic you want. The regular sun itself has that same exact energetic cycle, and you can draw on the sun instead of the moon to do that kind of action. But now let's get more into the week itself, right? So each day, I guess, the whole ruler of that day depends on the sign and the planet that is rising with it, right? So for instance, Monday, this is kind of the day of the moon. This is when the moon is coming up first. And so Monday is all about stuff that is related to the moon. Think of anything that has to do with the moon, right? The astrological sign of Cancer, foods like lemons or even potatoes. Think about the moon as a sign in astrology, right? All about that subconscious emotion, all these other kinds of things. And so likewise, Monday in the weekly magic is going to be a great time for kind of building on emotional strength, psychic strength, intuitive power. It's a time of getting better sleep, getting more wisdom, all these kinds of things. So if you're trying to gain more spiritual clarity, more wisdom, more peace in your heart, maybe making some lemon bars on a Monday morning would help you do that pretty well. And again, quick table here of all of the different things you can do throughout the week. As you can see, Fridays are really popular for love magic because that's the time when Venus is ruling, and Venus is that planet of love, relationships, aesthetics, so on and so forth, right? And remember to think about these things a little bit abstractly too. Yeah, anything you do after noon is going to be about diminishing and decreasing, but you can still call on a ton of ingredients in your spells to decrease, friction, right? That to decrease confrontation or, bad vibes, just as much as the other ingredients can still make a foundational bed for good feelings to come in their place. So if you're looking to have a date night where the anxiety is at a low and where everything is going smoothly, consider imbuing some of that anti-anxiety, anti-stress, diminishing power into that meal. Some of my favorite days to do spell works are, honestly, the weekend. Saturdays are awesome for banishing. Sundays are awesome for abundance. They just go together, and it's also when you tend to have the most time to be cooking or doing anything like that, or even just enchanting a bit of takeout that you got, honestly. And now, while the day and the week can get pretty, simple, baseline, easy to work with, it's actually the month to month that gets pretty interesting, right? So if you're going to do magic month to month, it's not that you have to wait an entire calendar year to get back to the month you want to do any magic, but if we're in, say, like right now, we're in Cancer season, it's helpful to capitalize on the energy of the sign of Cancer. Known as the mother of the zodiac, Cancer is something that's very emotional, intuitive, nurturing, loving. So if you need that energy, you absolutely have a boost to it this month, right? It's not that you can't do any magic around emotions or nurturing or softness of heart any other time of year. It's just that by doing it in Cancer season, you can get a little bit extra out of it, right? It's what we'd like to call optimal conditions. You don't need optimal conditions. You don't need to wait for the perfect time to do something, but a little extra nudge, all these things working in your favor, what it's really going to do is it's going to boost your confidence in what you're doing more, and that's going to make your magic like tons stronger than if you were kind of like, oh, I don't have this going on, if you put yourself in that negative headspace of I don't have any of the right materials, tools, times, or anything for something, it's going to be a lot harder to get in the zone and actually work the magic that comes from you, right? But again, Cancer being that sign, if you wanted to, have something for friendship or loved ones, if you wanted to show your appreciation to loved ones, this is the sign to do it. But that isn't all when it comes to the months. Did you know that each sign is split into 3 parts called decanties, and these 3 parts do slightly different things within that sign depending on the time? So I have this book here called The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need, and in it, Joanna here talks about decanties, and it's really interesting. So let's take Cancer as an example and look at this sign. So if I hold it up and you can see it here, you can see there's a lot of different stuff going on. You got different planetary rulers and sub-rulers. You've got different themes. So let's look at it, right? In the first decanty, right, so the 21st of June to the 30th of June, you've got the sub-ruler of the moon as well as the ruler, the moon, right? So we've got a double moon going on here with that theme of receptiveness. We have, someone who's sensitive to other people, someone who's really gentle, who's really nurturing. This is like peak Cancer energy in the first third of the season. But in the very next decanty, our sub-ruler is no longer the moon, it's Pluto, and the theme is intensity. And so if we know that Pluto is this planet of, death and violent rebirth and all that intensity, right? We know that, there's still that emotional kind of sensitivity here with Cancer, but it's this edge to it, right? It's got this kind of flavor of extremes, really deep emotions, really serious and direct movement towards our goals. You can do something with that, right? And of course, the last decanty of Cancer is with a sub-ruler of Neptune. Neptune usually ruling Pisces. So all of these, planets here, they're all water sign planets, right? Pluto, Scorpio, Neptune, Pisces. But here in the last decanty, Cancer takes on a more dreamy feel, a more kind of mysterious feel. Still sensitive, still emotional, but now with a little bit more of that esoteric blend. So as I was saying, if you wanted to get really good spiritual wisdom and you really wanted to line up everything perfectly, I would say a Monday during the 3rd decanty of Cancer season at sunset, preferably during a waxing moon too if that's happening. Yeah, that's pretty good. Also, side note, see how the times of day are much more convenient to work with like this than the times of the moon, right? Like if you want to do something in the 3rd decanty on a Monday and the moon doesn't happen to be cooperating, you would think maybe you're screwed, but not if you know your times of day. Not if you know your times of day. Now you can plan it for the dawn and you are good. You are good. And so again, right, you're thinking of also those things in the kitchen that line up with these. If we're thinking of, the moon and all that emotion, lemon bar is something with lemon in them. Lemon poppy seed muffins would be great for the first decanty of Cancer. The second decanty of Cancer would probably be really good with an egg-based dish because eggs are all about that death and rebirth and birth in general. And the last decanty with Pisces is all about seafood, right? Fish dishes, things like that. And lastly, of course, you have the entire year. Notice how the moon, the sun, everything else follows that rhythm, right? As the world turns, it follows that rhythm of waxing, growing intentions. High noon has this very, harvesting energy, this abundant energy, and the full moon has this very intense harvest energy. Then back down to midnight to the new moon, where everything is kind of, setting intentions, esoteric, mystery, spiritual stuff. Likewise, the entire cycle of the year has a similar rhythm. We have the springtime where we can grow our intentions as life is coming back. We have autumn where we can decrease those intentions because things are kind of going away. So if you wanted to banish stuff, autumn is a great time to do it. We have summer, which represents that full moon or high noon aspect, right? Abundance, glory, all the good things of the world are happening in summer. Meanwhile, winter is all about death and silence and winter, these weird times where the spirits are running around and everything's a little spooky. That's that new moon, midnight energy. So, just as with everything else, these seasons themselves, they can do that. And that gives you a 3-month window just about to focus on that energy. And it's also good to point out that each season has its own seasonal produce. So, if you are in summertime and the tomatoes are in season, those are going to be a little bit easier to work with magically than if you try to work with them during the dead of winter, right? Think about when you get produce that's out of season and it's just small, it's mushy because it's been transported all over the place, it's not as good. Not great. First of all, you'll save money buying stuff that's in season. For some reason right now the blueberries are cheaper than the strawberries at my store, which never happens. But second of all, that magic will be easier to do. And you can even go apple picking or blueberry picking, and you can pick it fresh off the vine, and that's when you're going to have some really good magic in your food too. Working with the rhythm of the world rather than against it is going to help you get more in harmony with nature, and it's going to help you get more in harmony with the relationships of the world, with its own self, right? Remember that as a human being, you are part of nature. So when you align yourself with all the stuff that's going on in nature, it's just going to be easier. And I also want you guys to remember that, again, it's not the apple or the time of day or the certain stones or the certain tools of any kind that you use that creates this magic. You are the one that has the power. These, fruits and vegetables, these stones, these crystals, the sun, the moon, they help. They lend a little bit of support, but they're mostly just there to help you focus. And if you're the kind of person who can do super powerful magic no matter what time of day, no matter what time of year, no matter what time of the week, if you say, I want to banish something on a Sunday, and you are fully confident that you can do that, be my guest. It'll still work. But if you are the kind of person that really likes to get so deep in the zone that you like everything just perfect to the last detail to make that incredible, most efficient energy cell for your spells, bless you, because that ain't me, but it absolutely can help, right? It can only help. It can never hurt, If you don't have everything just perfect, you can still do stuff, but if you do have everything lining up just right, it can only help. That said, never feel like you have to find the exact astrological season, decanty time of year, moon phase, sun phase, everything else to do a spell. Again, if you really desperately need to banish something, it's okay if you do it during a waxing moon on a Wednesday. Just do it up. But if it's something that you would really like to go off without a hitch and to get everything just so to make sure that your mind is centered perfectly, it helps to get all these steps in line, right? Because that's all it's really doing. It's helping you get more confident in the work that you're doing, and it's lending a little bit of support. But as I said, if you have the confidence to do that on your own, to the point that you don't need any tools, you don't need any outside assistance, you just need you and your deities, these things are nice to know, but they're not necessary. Nonetheless, I hope you guys do enjoy this little discussion on how you might use all of these rhythms of the day, the week, the month, the year to figure out how you can more efficiently and more adeptly plan your magic. I know that we have a lot of cookouts going on right now. It's summertime. We have a lot of, family gatherings, parties, birthdays, anything that's a planned celebration. This kind of thinking can really help. I know it seems overwhelming at first, but there is a lot of value in knowing these things, right? But with all that said, I will see you guys next week for our herb of the month for July, and I wish you guys a happy, happy weekend. See ya!